All right. We are back again from the Ashes We Rise, the Black Phoenix podcast. MC and TR. I am sick, so y'all gonna have to deal with my scratchy voice tonight. But we are dedicated to the craft. We're gonna keep it moving. TR was good.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's I know you're gonna be under the weather, so I'll do some of the heavy lifting over here.
We're gonna keep it moving regardless. There's a lot to talk about.
Hey, yes, we do. So let's just jump right into it.
I think the elephant in the room, we haven't talked about it, is we got a new president. I mean, we were going to get one regardless, but for a lot of
Mhm.
folks, I think this was a shocker. I mean, for me, it wasn't, but I don't know. What are your first thoughts?
Yeah, it wasn't a shocker in the sense that I knew Trump was going to win. I didn't realize how big he was going to win and how he's going to sweep the House and the Senate. Like I would have gave you he's going to win it, and he took all the swing states. I didn't have that on the bingo board. Like none of that stuff. I knew he'd take some swing states, and I thought Kamala would be able. Like I thought Pennsylvania would be a little bit tough, but she ended up losing Pennsylvania, and so mainly because I thought she was doing all that campaigning and all that crap though. But yeah, this was like a landslide victory, a big blowout. And the Democrats, they got a lot to be looking at because this is terrible for them.
I'm not surprised by this at all. I honestly think she picked the wrong candidate to be her VP. I think she would have did much better with Shapiro over there in PA.
Which he ain't got no smoke, real quick. Tim Walz ain't caught no smoke.
None, absolutely none. But he's such a nice guy, though. He sure seems like it, but I don't think nah, not in that capacity. Not
Right.
as the VP. Nah, I can't see it.
Yeah. It's and we're going to talk about the exit polls here soon. But when you look at Kamala's campaign versus, well, just what are the big missteps you believe that Kamala made that got us to where she is at, or that caused her to have the big loss that she had?
So I said from the jump, I wanted to see how she did with people who didn't like her and didn't
Mhm.
agree with her. And frankly, there was nothing to see outside of the interview she did on Fox that she cut short. She was always around friendly folks.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she reacts under pressure. I mean, you're in a country where, regardless if they like you or not, they got to respect you. Now,
Hmm.
if you're talking to leaders of other countries, they don't have to respect you. They don't even have to acknowledge you.
Yeah, they
So
want
how do I know you can contain yourself and control yourself appropriately in those situations? I didn't see it.
to. Hmm.
It's almost like they were protecting her. I never felt like she was in charge. And
Yeah.
the other thing I'll call out is she never distanced herself from Biden. And he was the point of everybody's frustration. A lot of people had Biden regret. She never separated herself from him.
Hmm.
And it backfired on her. Like it was yeah, the border czar thing, she really didn't respond to that. Her whole campaign was I'm not Donald Trump. She never talked about policy. She kind of threw some things out there at the end with the credits for the housing and the business owners and the plan for black men, but that
Hmm.
was like right before the election ended.
Yeah.
But to a degree, I feel for her because she didn't have an adequate amount of time to put anything together.
Hmm.
But I blame the Dems for that because they knew Biden was dysfunctional, incapable, and they held on to it as long as they possibly could. They set her up for failure, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised that people didn't attach to her either.
Yeah. So a couple things with Kamala's ill-fated campaign. I mean, on those interviews, it's coming out that she's paying those folks. Oprah Winfrey and Beyonce, Meg, they're getting broke off.
Call her daddy, pay them, build
Yeah,
them a new studio.
yeah, building a new studio. I mean, give me 100K. Give us 100K. We'll build a new studio. Like 100K. We'll build it to expectations. So you hit on a lot of things, and I'm trying to find something that I think that just didn't help her out was the whole podcast thing. I think her going on to a lot of these media tours and then Trump just capitalizing on some of the podcasts that he went on there, like especially with Aiden Ross and the Joe Rogan. Like those were just amazing things that she did, or he did that he got to those. He was just having a conversation. Like You could, I think most people could probably just have a beer with Trump and just have like a conversation about anything because the guy, he just seems very personable. He'll have a conversation with you, talk to you about anything. And I mean, he's very charismatic in those conversations too, when he's just talking to just random people. Like the guy is, he knows how to, work the room, like they've said before. And so when it comes to like just any environment, any especially hostile environment, he can just, he can stand on his own. So he definitely did an amazing job there. Also, it didn't help. I think the media was terrible for Kamala because whenever they would come out, like, and keep in mind, this would never been able, the type of at least fact checking that was occurring. This would have never been possible without the aid of Twitter, which is X, but formerly Twitter, when Elon purchased it, because right now we had social media that was pretty much running cover for her, and so if you did speak out, you pretty much got banned, shadow banned, or you were flagged. Like you had a lot of stuff that were going against conservatives, or at least if you had a different opinion on what the Democrats were doing, or at least liberals are doing, you essentially would, you'd be penalized for it. But now, X is kind of the Wild Wild West, and kind of do a lot of things, say a lot of things, good or bad, the ugly, and all that. A lot of fact checking occurred on X, and so that's why I thought it was harder for her to put out those lies. As I'm a former Democrat, and when I started looking back on some of the things that Trump allegedly said or did, it's like, well, I didn't see this information. I never saw any of this information because they were hiding it. They were covering for her. They did everything they can in their power to make Trump look terrible for Biden, which also, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that happened there. But ultimately, it was amazing that X was available for anyone like you, me, any other creators out there, where we can just have voice and not be penalized. Well, I know I don't know if you're on X that much, but I'm definitely on X. And I see all the conversations taking place, and then they have the community notes as well too, which community notes goes both ways. So if a conservative has something wrong, it's going to get called out. But a lot of the liberals and progressives, they constantly had things wrong. There was constantly getting community checked, and it happened. I mean, it was spread like wildfire. So that's another reason why I think Kamala didn't do a good job, or the people that are trying to help her just did a disservice to her, because we can easily look this stuff up now. Like we're armed with it, and we don't get penalized on just X for now, because I don't know how Facebook and Instagram operate, but you really don't get penalized on any of those. You don't get penalized on X, so it's easy for people to look up the information, fact check, and repost it.
Hey, so you brought up a good point with the podcast real quick. Let's pivot back to that because I think on Trump's party was an excellent move, but on Kamala's party backfired on her.
Hmm.
So is it safe to say that podcasts are more relevant than the news? And the
Yeah,
reason why I bring that up is I just put up the Joe Rogan interview with Trump 2 weeks ago, 49,794,000 views.
that's insane.
JD Vance, 13 days ago. Let's see, where's the views at on this one? 17 million views,
Hmm.
just under 2 weeks. And here's the other thing. Joe Rogan, you got to sit down with him for 3 hours. You have to have substance and talk about stuff over a
Yeah,
3 hour time frame. You can't use your deletion talking points and you can't keep repeating that you came from a middle class family and you're not Donald Trump. That's not going to work for 3 hours.
no,
And Joe Rogan eventually came out and said he did offer her the opportunity to come up there, but she declined because they couldn't agree on the rules. He held firm that he was going to have the same rules for both candidates.
hmm,
She didn't like that, so she declined. She was more comfortable going on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Again, further proof you already had the women on lock. There was no benefit for you going on that podcast. You have the feminists, the LGBT, who all listen to that. You already had them on lock. So what are you doing?
yeah,
Like whoever was running her campaign, terrible. Should never do it again. They knew she had weaknesses with men. And
mhm.
honestly, at this point, I think we can deduce the only people who were rocking with her were black women, because even white women and Latinos weren't rocking with her like that.
Oof, yeah,
Podcast is going to surpass the news because it's unfiltered. They do on the spot, vetting of statements and comments. And Joe Rogan will continue to be the most famous because he lets people talk. No
Yeah.
matter what side they're on, if they say some silly stuff, he'll call it out, but he lets them talk. News is done, man. These interviews on these news stations, done. Absolutely done.
Yeah, if I can find it, I was going to show that MSN, CNN, they're about to have a ton of layoffs. They did not get the crowd that they were expecting leading up to the election, and then after the post election. You have a lot of liberal or Democrat creators that are losing followers because of people are like, all right, you guys were gaslighting us. You guys were telling us a story. You said the American people were not going to do X, Y, Z and vote him back into the office, and it was a landslide victory. And so you have people like the Joy Reids, the Rachel Maddow, and other CNN. They're MSNBC, but the other CNN folks, I mean, they're worried. Like their shows are about to be axed. You got Joy Reid crashing out. I mean, we'll have another conversation about the liberals crash out, but a lot of these folks, I mean, they're about to, they're overpaid, and you can get the same I mean, there are creators that are getting better ratings than some of these networks, like just hands down, just to just blow them out of the water. And so you got a Joe Rogan, you got to respect a Joe Rogan. Like you can't act like he's nobody. And even with Club Shay Shay, I mean, even though it didn't work out for Kamala, Club Shay Shay still had the pull. He still had still had the visibility. It's just unfortunate, it just didn't work out. And I mean, it worked out for him, but for her, it was just a big mistake. So yeah, it's podcast is about to rule everything. If anything, I rarely watch. Honestly, I might watch a movie or a TV show every now and then, but I'm most of the time I'm watching stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm either podcasting or listening to music when I'm working. Um, let me be look, I'm not taunting the other side here,
Mhm.
but there is one show I did kind of laugh at when these election results came in, and that was The View, because they trashed us for
Oh
so
man.
long. What's her name? Sunny hosting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was, man, she went into Super Saiyan misandrous
No,
as we
Super
got
Saiyan
closer to
Karen.
the
Yeah.
man. She was, man, look, all they doing, they're not taking any accountability. They're just dismissing this as misogyny and sexism, and people are stupid and uneducated. They're not taking any accountability, and the days are over where you can shame people to do this. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So you better adjust, and you better learn how to talk to people and meet them where they are intellectually, and actually come with some substance, because your old tactics ain't working anymore. People are getting smarter, and more information is available to them.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Yeah, which is why Kamala was on the board with this whole censorship thing that people just didn't like. People should definitely be worried when you have big tech collaborating or conspiring with the government to ban or mute certain voices. That should always be a concern to most people. And I never understood why people were okay with this, or why people were like, well, if it's on X, and I don't know if you've seen it, but we've seen like big celebrities, which nobody cares. That's the other thing too. Celebrities have no powers, absolute no, they have no powers. Actors, actresses, athletes, they have no power. But for a lot of those people, they're leaving X, and it's like, why are you leaving X now? You should have left a long time ago. They just don't want to hear it. They don't want to be told that they were wrong. And I don't know about like with people around you that are liberal or that voted for Kamala, but man, folks has avoided me like the plague.
That's the other thing. And again, as soon as they pushed her to the front, I knew it was going to create some kind of proxy civil war. Like,
Hmm.
man, my friends list shrunk. And I know that happened to a lot of other people too. And I happen to know a lot of black women that voted for Trump, but they'll never publicly say it because they're just not in the space right now where they feel comfortable talking about it without being
Yeah.
shamed to death.
Hmm.
And when I look at, well, we'll talk about the exit poll in a minute, because I want to say those comments for the exit poll. But what we know for sure is what we have right now is not working, right? I shared an article earlier today.
Wait, who do you mean we know it's not working?
The economy was the biggest issue for a lot of
Oh yeah,
people. I'm
yes,
speaking
yeah,
specifically to the economy right now.
yeah.
I posted an article from a liberal source on my Facebook page today that 27 states are close to filing for bankruptcy.
Oh,
They have,
yes.
and I posted another article, and I took a liberal source and a conservative source that kind of broke down the tariff plan that Trump has. And again, this is the reason why I guess we can transition to, what did Trump do versus what Kamala didn't do, unless you got one more Kamala comment, because I'm ready to talk about Trump now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what did Trump do right?
Oh, sorry. You know what? Let me show something real quick. I'm sorry.
Yep, yep.
I'm going to show the ratings real quick of
Okay.
what things are looking like. And as you can see,
Oh yeah.
Joy Reid down 54%. Our Melbar, I don't know who that is. 49%. Chris Hayes 47. Alex Wagner 52. Morning Joe 39. Stephanie Rule 67. Andrea Mitchell 39%. So they, yeah, they're about to come into a rude awakening. And you know the crazy thing? They don't think they're the problem. They That's the crazy thing. They don't think they're the problem, but they're about to find out though, because saying Orange Man bad, Trump is, Yahtzee or whatever, that ain't gonna work. You can't get those viewers back after you told them for 4 years that this guy is a threat to democracy, and it's really them.
Joy Reid said something today that kind of fascinated me, and I think this might directly correlate to her drop of the ratings. She kind of went after white women.
Oh my God, yes. Do we got time for yeah, we got time for that.
Not only that, but she also low key made a statement that maybe it's time to sit down with black men and understand where they're coming from, which I was shocked that she would even ponder that.
Mhm.
But she went after white women. Probably the left leaning ones that watch her show got offended and decided to walk away. And she kind of shot herself in the foot. But that's not the first time she's done this.
Yeah.
This is crazy though, man. This like I knew he was going to win, but this was just a blowout. This is like a 4-0 sweep. This
Yeah.
is New England Patriots beating up on the Atlanta Falcons a few years ago when they thought they had that 21-point lead in the Super Bowl. Like this
Yeah.
is where my Tampa Bay Bucks held the Chiefs to only 9 points in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Like this is crazy. Like
Mhm.
this, and at first Trump talks all this stuff about how great he is, but he kind of backs it up. So what can you do? Like, but here's the thing now, all the people that left the Dem party and voted for Trump and independents as well, now he's got to prove all the stuff that he said he's going to do. So now the pressure is on. There's no excuses. He's got the House, he's got the Senate, and he's
Yeah.
back in the White House. No excuses this time. So he got to get it done.
Yeah, it reminds me when Obama got the House and the Senate his first year, and then he I forget which one he lost, but when the midterms came up, that's the next big election cycle coming up is the midterms. But he has 2 years, so you're absolutely right. And he has a bunch of first day agenda items that he's going to put through. I'm going to have to make a few shorts for the channel just to show people some of that stuff. But he's already, moved forward with Matt Gates getting the AG position. And which Matt Gates, I don't know how familiar with Matt Gates though, but Republicans, I mean, I want to say the older Republicans, they dislike him. They and Matt, he seems like he could be a jerk, but the dude cracks me out whenever I see him on the camera. And hopefully, they can get that confirmed through I believe it has to go through the Senate though, but this will be a loyalty test because Trump he ain't about to run back what happened in his first administration. He's like, I don't care who these people are. I don't need your help. Just stop talking. I'm gonna put my people through. And if I see that you guys are not putting my people through, there's gonna be problems because we're getting a different Trump this time around, and it's still America first with him. But we're getting people that are not going to get in his way, and people forget that some of the Republicans, like even Mitch McConnell, Trump was trying to pass certain things, and they were getting in the way, like the whole border wall, like stopping the funding and everything. Like they were getting in the way, which people always forget about that because, and I mean, I forgot about it. I just educated myself on it just now, but just because you have the House and the Senate, that's not always a guarantee that things are going to go your favor. Like
Right.
until we get these Hydra folks that are the uniparty, the people that they're in it for themselves, until we get them out of the office. Or I mean, they lose they get primaried out in the midterms. It's going to still be a problem. Trump still has an uphill battle, but you're right. He's got to overcome that. He's overcome so many things. To me, it's going to be a walk in the park, though. But be ready for some of the BS, the shenanigans that shows up.
Hey, so check this out. I was just thinking about this. Trump single-handedly is going to evolve the future of politics in this country. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I mean.
Mhm.
Take Arizona, the state where I reside. Arizona put Trump in office, but Arizona also has a Democratic governor, two Democratic senators.
Oh,
We just voted to put deletion in the state constitution and make it a fundamental right for women up until viability. You know what that means.
yeah, yeah,
But we also just put it in the Constitution that now local authorities have the right to arrest and deport illegal immigrants. So I say all that to say you're not going to be able to look at somebody and say, I voted completely red on every single issue, or I voted completely blue on every single issue anymore. That's coming to an end too.
yeah.
People are going to be all over the place now with the way they vote, and they're actually going to think and make decisions not based on parties or feelings, but logic.
Yeah. The That reminds me, Michelle Obama, when she made that comment about women, when you get into the polls, he doesn't have to know. That actually backfired because
Yeah.
matter of fact, let's get into the polls now after I make this comment. But that actually backfired on her because the women said, "No, we're on the surface. We're going to say we're rocking with you, Kamala, but you're crazy and we can't rock with you." So you're right. When we get into the booth, it's our right, it's our choice, and to a degree, we know how people voted, but that definitely backfired. So
Yeah. And how many times did they go after the family? That was the final straw for me. I don't know about everybody else, but
mhm.
I don't know. Leave your thoughts in the comments, man. I'm curious to hear what y'all think.
Yeah, definitely tell me what are the catalysts that caused Kamala to lose and Trump to win. Let me get this exit polls here. All right. So there's a lot of data here. Anything particular you want to jump to? Because I have a couple things that I want to bring up or at least highlight.
I want to start with the state level. The states that Kamala did win. Look at I'm gonna take New York for example. I have a different interactive map up, but from the Associated Press, she only won 55% of the vote there. Like he almost took New York when you think about it.
Hmm.
And even her victory of margin in California was her strongest state. That's quote unquote where she's from. So that makes sense. He almost took New Mexico. He got 45% of the vote in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Like Illinois, I know there were a lot of people in Chicago saying they were going to vote for Trump. I think these numbers show he took 44% of the vote in Illinois. He almost did a clean sweep of all of these states that used to be a lock in for the Dems. Like
Yeah.
they got to re-strategize because he literally outsmarted them in every single area. This is crazy.
They said he did better than was it Reagan? I want to say
Yep. Yep.
like, whew, this is yeah. I would have never guessed he would take in a lot of the swing states, but it just goes to show you that how terrible the Democrats ran their campaign, and maybe Biden would have taken Pennsylvania as a possibility, but I don't think he. I mean, and even if Kamala or Biden would have taken Pennsylvania, they still are behind. Pennsylvania just automatically gave Trump the win because he had the other states behind him. But if he had got Pennsylvania, if they had got Pennsylvania, that wouldn't have helped anything. But the mere fact that they, lost a lot of these swing states is telling that people are not falling. Well, people know that the reproductive rights it's a state issue. Like I think it's pretty clear as day. It's a state issue. Even
Right.
here, we voted for when depending on the situation, you can do a deletion in the second or third term. And in my opinion, I don't agree with like the way they combined it, it was a terrible situation that happened to the woman, um, rape or the other one, and then there's the viability with the mother. Well, actually, we had the viability one too, but that one I don't think that one passed. But in my opinion, they should have separated them because if it's a grape or any situation like that, I believe that's going to be taken care of in the first trimester. I'm not sure of anyone that would wait till the second or third trimester. L- To me, I don't know. Maybe there are people doing stuff like that though, but the third trimester, that's just terrible. That's a baby that can be given away to or adopted. Like getting to a third trimester, I think that's like adoption territory is where you want to go. That should not be the option. Now, for the other part of it, that was, and again, this law did pass for the mother when her life is in danger. And to me, with if I was married, I'm not married, but if my wife's life is in danger, I would never sacrifice my wife. So, and that can happen anytime during the trimester. So, or anytime during the pregnancy. So, I think that one's a no brainer. But at the end of the day, whatever reproductive rights that people were talking about, I think most states, I think most states, when were in favor of some of these reproductive rights, and they ended up passing very overwhelmingly, even some of these red states. So this is not at the federal level anymore, and that kind of shows that Kamala was actually just lying about the whole, she's going to protect reproductive freedoms. No, the
Yeah.
people in the states protect reproductive freedoms. If your state, you vote for it, you vote against it, whatever it is, the people decide.
And imagine you run your entire campaign on that one single issue, because
Mhm.
that's basically all she talked about. And
Yeah.
now we're slowly starting to find out that now that states are passing this, she wasn't even needed.
Yeah, yeah, it was never needed, and you can't even believe how many times I try to tell people this, and people need to take a basic civics lesson, but I know people won't. But even if the states didn't have this stuff, it was never going to happen anyways. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, people made had the understanding. Well, this is a state thing. Like it again, and the crazy thing, just like in Minnesota, because of Roe v. Wade being overturned, it allows for, in my opinion, I would call them extreme measures, where you're deleting baby in a third trimester to be an option though, because the states you can either have it strictive or max strictive or max unrestrictive, whatever it is, it's up to the state now. And so, whatever, like again, for people saying Trump this, Trump that about reproductive freedoms, he allowed a lot of these states are allowing all these additional unrestricted or not, yeah, they're well, not like Texas to Florida, but rest of these states, they're allowing it. They're allowing it up to a third trimester now.
Yeah. And it actually just substantiates what Trump said from the beginning. He was never against it. He just wanted to take the federal government out of it and empower the people. I'm always going to support that kind of decision. Let the
Yeah,
people decide.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, all right, let me go back to the results here. Exit
A
poll.
lot to dissect here. Where you want to start?
All right, so age is important because it shows. I could have sworn they said, hold on, let me see. They got two different age groups on here. Because I could have sworn they said he won the Gen X vote, or actually Gen X. I don't know, the young vote. I'll just say the young vote. I
Oh yeah,
forgot.
that's Gen Z.
Or Gen Z. Got it. Okay, but looks like Kamala got the Gen Z vote here.
She did, but it wasn't by a comfortable margin. I was actually
Sure.
surprised by how well he did with Gen Z, but I think
Good.
we can thank Barron Trump for that, because he was the one that encouraged Trump to do the podcast circuit,
Yes.
because
Yes.
he knew that's where folks were.
Yeah. And then also the people that were they're able to vote 4 years ago, they're voting now. And so that puts them in same in this age group. So that definitely tells that there's been a change. Like, hey, I know how life was under Biden, and that's not that's not working for me. Like none of that stuff is even working for me.
By the
Uh
way, I'm looking at those two age categories you were talking about. It looks like the only difference is they broke it out into more categories in the second row.
Yeah, it looks like okay, 18, 24, 25. Yeah, still, she's still. I mean, you're right. He did better. It was pretty close. So it wasn't like a blowout like Democrats generally get the young vote like they normally do, but definitely got the older vote, the 40 and up crowd. So which 65 and older, I'm kind of surprised that was kind of a split there. Interesting.
Yeah, I am as well.
Marital status. This is something that people. This is a funny one because this is gonna. I was gonna say there's another one here, but we'll come back to that one. So let me go down to race. There we go. Whoo, man, Latino men, they caught wreck last week. I mean,
I ain't
black
surprised.
men caught wreck too, but Latino men, I mean, in this one, this is Latino. I think there is one that breaks it down by gender, but Latino men, they caught wreck last week. Once these exit polls came out and it shows who was voting. Actually, let me just jump down to the gender because that's a interesting conversation to have, like, who people are trying to blame. This is that gender by marital status. That's what I was talking about. A lot of unmarried women voting for Kamala. So take that for what you will.
Not surprised.
Yeah, here it is. All right, gender by race. This is pretty telling. I was not expecting. I don't know about you. I was expecting the black vote to be reduced. I was hoping. Honestly, I was thinking like 50%. Obviously, she got, what was it, 70%? It was 70 or 80% or something like that. But
Right.
it was a reduced amount. It was a reduction, especially on the black men's side, and then black women. It was like kind of a sneeze. But I mean, they're the women coming around. So there was definitely a reduction there, but I was not expecting Latino men. And then you got Latino women. Like, these are the people. These are our wives. I mean, well, at least here, black men and women, they're a little bit closer. But Latino men and women, it's night and day. Well, I guess not night and day. It's only 5%.
It ain't
But
that far off, man. And there are a lot of those. A lot of Latinos I know are conservative as hell. Especially like I know a lot of Cubans that
wait,
are
men or
really
women?
conservative. Both. If you talk to somebody who's come from Cuba, more than likely they'll tell you, "I don't ever want to see anything close to socialism ever again," and they tie that to the Dems,
Yeah,
and they passionately ride for that.
yeah. So here's the fallout that I saw. Um, when people were once these exit polls numbers came out, people were losing their mind. They were blaming black men. Like, this is the Democrats, the party of tolerance, the party of, I mean, democracy. They saved democracy, like they said in 2020. And these exit polls number comes out, you would think these people are racist. Like, if you just took the thumbnail, the little profile picture,
Yeah.
and you took that off, you would think this person was a white person, like some triple K person, some Yahtzee person. You would think these are terrible people, and these are regular people just saying this on the internet, and just horrible, terrible things. Like, I saw one woman. I really wanted to. I didn't know what I could do with it because it was so disgusting what she said. But she
About
said,
the knee on the neck and the
yeah,
police.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, and the crazy thing is, even though there was a reduce in voting from black people, the majority of black people still voted for her, black men and women. So who are you going to, like, why are you blaming, like, why are you putting that on all black men? Because essentially 3/4 of black men voted for her. Three out of four black men voted for her. So you can't say, black men are to blame. Like, even if she got the same number, she still loses the vote. She's not winning, and it's not because of Latino men. It's really because of white people. The white women did not show up for her. White men did not show up for her. And when they started this whole Kamala thing, white women for Kamala, white cucks for Kamala, like, they had all those white people showing up for her, but yet the numbers are saying something different.
Hey, so I look at it like this. First of all, the polls actually kind of got this right when it came to black people. They predicted that he would have between 20 and 30% of the
Yes.
black vote. And that's he basically tripled what he did last time. He's at 10% last time, if I recall.
Yeah. But
That's
I
number
think the
one.
most out of any Republican,
And
right?
a lot, yeah. And number two, damn near one out of every three black people voted for Trump. If you combine the black men and black women ratio, you're pretty close to 30%.
Yes.
That's one out of every three people. So you got a bigger problem, Dems, that you need to deal with. You're losing your most loyal base. And CNN did a report about this. Since Obama left, Black support for the Dems has been declining every single year since Obama's second term ended.
Yes.
So this has been a problem for a long time that they have not addressed. That's number one. Number two, the women are voting with their men until you get to the Black people. Like, like
God,
seriously.
I forgot to connect to those. Yes.
Yeah, like we are the only group where the women and the men are not voting alike. Everybody else was somewhat in line with one another.
Yes.
Like this is, yeah, man. Like Trump
This is
is
bad.
changing the way politics works in this country, and it's kind of fascinating to see.
Yeah, that's actually bad. That's a really good pickup though, because like you said, 16.55%, 16.53%, and you get the black people 77 to 91%. That's oh man.
Now let's tie it back to, of all these races of people we talking about, which ones are the least married? Us,
Which one has most abortions?
us.
Yeah.
And which brings me to my initial point that I made a few weeks ago. The Dems thought that they could get Black women to tell them what Black men wanted. We're not in a space where you can do that right now. They got
Mm-mm.
to have those conversations separately until we get our family unit back in order.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I saw this on Anton Daniels' channel, who's doing like it was one of his Monday night shows. But there was a gal on there. I forget her name though, but she was definitely, she said, look, until black women apologize to black men for what occurred in the I want to say the 60s, and so we're really 60s and beyond, and then also this election cycle, especially this election cycle, black men and women will never get back together. They'll never be in unison or lockstep with each other, because there's just too much trauma on both sides, and both sides refused. Well, I mean, I don't think black men need to, apologize for anything, but black men do need to step up and be the leader, get back to the leadership position in the communities, and then also politically as well too, though, because this is it's great that Trump ran, because Trump woke up some black people. He woke up some well, I guess if Latinos are generally conservative, fine, but he definitely woke up some of the at least when it came to white women, because he has removed that talking point that abortion impacts. Oh, is that abortion? Anyway, I'll fix it. Anyways, he has removed that talking point about baby deletions. That that's not a card anymore. The Democrats, it's generally reproductive rights. They can't play that card anymore. They've overspammed it so much that no one believes them. They know it's a state's issue. So going back to like black men and women, that's not going to work, because black men, you cannot tell us, like, they when they look at this campaign, they probably won't even think that was a thing. But putting Barack on there was a grave misstep. Putting Michelle on there, talking down to black men, or talking down to men in general, and then villainizing men, and then telling your wives, your husband doesn't have to know when you get in that booth. You don't have to, you got to protect him, or, you're not a victim of his rage or something. Those were terrible missteps. And those are not the people that want family first or want families back together. And again, they're pandering. They put this message towards the black community. It's like they, try to, experiment on us. And then they try to spread the message out, see how effective it is. And it just backfired on them.
Man, I saw you took it down, but there were two more categories on there I wanted to go through really
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, we bring back.
The first one is education by race.
Where is that at? Right there. Okay.
So I figured this will be where Kamala performed the strongest, because the whole D9 connection or whatnot.
Mhm.
But she did well there. She took in 65%. But as we learn more and more about college and how much most degrees are a scam, it you have no choice but to think that a lot of people that go to college aren't as smart as they think they are. So
Sure.
I wanted to call that out here, because that's a conversation that needs to be had. A lot of people go to college and get degrees that don't require a whole lot of effort, and quite frankly, you're not getting your return on investment. Then the other thing I wanted to call out, first year voting. This is crazy. So 56% of first time voters voted for Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. That's a very good point. No
That
one,
is,
no one's been talking about that. I haven't heard one single person bring that up.
yeah, man. Like that's a number that needs to be. I think some of that is going to be some of. So there was some talk that the reason why he won Pennsylvania was a
Mhm.
lot of what a lot of the Amish people registered to vote because they supported Trump. So that probably plays a part in there too. But I wonder where the rest of these first year voters are, where they're coming from, because we know Kamala won the young vote. So these must be older people that weren't engaged in politics in the past and decided to suddenly become engaged.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. So, you know what's even crazier? So, if this is first year of voting, and I don't have it pulled up here, but when they did the final tally on the total votes, there Biden got almost like going back to the 2020 election. Biden got like what 80 votes, 80,000, 80 votes, 80 million votes in the popular vote.
Yeah,
And then Kamala, I mean, I don't think she broke in the what 70s or whatever it was. Like she didn't even crack that
72
number.
million, and Trump got
Yeah.
76 million.
Yeah. So what happened to those 20, really 12 million votes that just disappeared overnight? So we got these first time voters. Where are the voters from the first time in the 2020 at?
Oh, you about to break out your tinfoil hat, ain't you?
Hey, I'm just saying, you're telling me that Biden was a more galvanizing president than Barack Obama? Everybody loves Barack Obama, loves how he talks to everyone. He got more votes than Barack in both terms? Come on.
So I think what happened, and me and you we somewhat disagree on this. I think January 6th pissed off a lot of people, but as more facts came out and people started to dive into what really happened and what was really
Mhm.
said, I think some people had remorse, Biden remorse, and decided they were going to jump back to Trump if he ran again.
Yeah. I think for the people, so two here it is. So for the folks that were upset with Trump about how he handled 2020, the 2020 voting, fine, whatever. But you still have to account what happened to all those votes. Like Trump didn't bring this all stuff up, just like, hey, there's some merit here now. And so the Democrats, they can't say there's some issues here because I really haven't heard a lot of them really talk about, what happened to those votes, because those votes would have swung the election. I mean, if you say even if she gets half of those people, she wins the election or pretty damn near close. So what happened to those votes? Because if those people don't show up, like why did like 12 million people not show up? That's my question. Unless something else happened where, I don't want to get this zapped on YouTube, but somebody's got to explain what happened to those 12 million votes.
So I'll tell you this. I talked to a lot of people that told me, as you know, I do some voter registration stuff in my personal life.
Mhm.
A lot of people told me that they were either going to sit this one out. They hated Trump, but they were going to sit it out because they didn't trust Kamala. And then there were some people that told me they were going to leave that part of their ballot blank and vote on everything else, but leave that ballot blank. And I wonder how much that came into effect here.
Yeah, I'd love to know because this only shows you the two candidates. I want the stat on the other candidates and the people that left it blank.
Yeah.
So, which I don't think we'll ever know that, but I don't think there's anything else on here. Oh, this one's actually an interesting one too. The gay, lesbian, and trans vote. Um, I think people were surprised. Well, not really surprised. I mean, 86%, but I think that's lower than what has been in previous years.
Yeah, he
Or
definitely convinced some of the folks over there in that community to jump ship, and I would imagine that's going to continue to happen as well.
yeah,
One day, I do want to bring. I know a person who is very much gay and very much conservative, and he is very good at articulating his points and justifying his decisions. Maybe one day I'll ask him to pop up and kind of have that conversation, but probably the most conservative person I know, but also gay as hell.
Yeah. This is a kind of interesting one too. In the last few days, people made their decision. Well, that's pretty telling because you had Trump was blowing up the podcast with Joe Rogan, and then you have Kamala sinking the podcast with Club Shay Shay. Like people making their decision. I mean, this blows my mind that people decided in the last few days to decide who they're going to vote for, but it is what it is. But yeah, that was kind of interesting too. She had plenty of chances to kind of decide, or honestly, if I know she got installed late, but they should have been doing more debates. They should, and well, they try to do more debates, but unfortunately, the debates were unfair to Trump, and so I understand why he didn't do more debates, though. But had they ran a fair debate, that would have been a great opportunity for Kamala. But unfortunately, everybody was trying to save her. Everybody was trying to, run cover for her, and it ended up working against her because people can see the obvious, like the CBS debate. I mean, it was pretty obvious that it was Trump versus the world on that debate, and that made Kamala look extremely bad.
I
And
can't
so,
argue that. Man, it looked like they all teamed up on him. I can't argue that at all.
yeah, it was a 3v1. Like it was a bad showing. And then Trump went on that the national black journalists one. That one was a bad one, which, the crazy thing is, so Trump went on that one. It went viral, mega viral everywhere. And it was obvious that these people are just hostile towards Trump. Like, I don't understand. Like, the more hostile you are to Trump, you're definitely going to go viral, but you're going to show that these people are just being unfair to Trump. But she went on the national black journalism, and nobody talks about it. Nobody, I mean, people probably don't remember, or people don't even know she probably went on it because it didn't do anything. If she had been there, she could have definitely set the record straight on a few things, but she decided not to be there, probably going to like some other stuff going on. But yeah, that did not work to her advantage. So
Hey, this is one more thing on here that really surprised me.
mhm.
Income. Kamala won the wealthy vote.
Oh, yes. Let me pull that back up here.
I that is surprising to me.
Hmm.
Although, see, the one I'm looking at is a little bit further down. It breaks it out. It breaks income out into 5 different categories. Hit Control F real quick and do income. It'll take you to it faster if you can. But while you're doing that, there's 5 categories here: less than 30,000, 30 to 50, 50 to
Oh,
99. Oh, you got it right there. Look at that. The wealthiest people voted for her.
the wealthiest and the poorest people looks like it.
Yeah, she got the poorest too. So everybody sitting in the middle is where Trump did the majority of his work.
Yeah. So the people that are the poorest people, where Kamala's policies, well, whatever policy she was thinking on doing, but typically Democrats have a bunch of policies that go to help the less than 30,000, but they're not helpful. They don't really help them. They're just, now they have to stay connected to them.
Yeah,
And then the elites showed up. Like, the Democrat parties have turned into the elites. And you know when it started? It started with Obama. I'm just gonna put
yeah,
that out there. It started with Obama. Once he started putting everyone, getting all these celebrities and people talking for him, and being the mouthpiece and everything, and these celebrities thinking that they can actually swing an election, they found out their voice, they have no power here anymore. And I'm not surprised that she won the party. She won the elitist votes. The people that were really struggling, the Americans that were going through the Biden administration right here, trying to put food on the table, trying to put clothes on their kids' back. They were the ones that were struggling, and they were the ones that Trump, he connected with them. He spoke to those people, and Kamala didn't. She had like Meg Thee Stallion on the stage and people twerking, and people getting out there and saying, just doing silly stuff. And he's talking about policy. He's talking about things that are going to help, the people in his audience. And the votes. I mean, the votes don't lie, and people need to like take a look at that as well too, because people want to say, like, I saw some fallback where people were like, it's because of misogyny and racism. I'm like, you can't call You calling half the country, I mean, the majority of the country racist, misogynist? No, these people are hurting financially. These
Yeah.
people are, they have to worry about what they can say and can't say anymore. And when they're putting their kids into school or what the schools are going to try to do, they have to worry about things occurring at work. They got to worry about discrimination at schools. If you do not go along with the Kool-Aid folks, you have to worry about that stuff. And so, yeah, Trump he speaks to that crowd. He's like, no more cancel, no more woke culture. That's all. I'm done with all that.
I'm gonna say two more things and I'm gonna stop talking about this polls. The main takeaway from all these numbers we just talked about is the days are coming where you cannot look at somebody and tell how they're voting anymore. You're
Yeah,
gonna have
that's
to
a
have
very good
some deep conversations and ask some real questions and do some intellectual back and forth to figure out where they stand. You can't just look at them no more. That's number one. And number two, the racism and the misogyny stuff, I get it, it exists, it's out there, but the problem is y'all overuse that word so much that it's disrespectful and it weakens the people that are actually dealing with it.
point. Yeah,
That's
silent.
your fail safe every time something goes wrong for you, and you're being very disrespectful to the people that are actually experiencing this. If we were misogynistic, how did she even get to the VP spot in the first place?
Thank you.
Especially considering that she wasn't popular. Back when she was debating it out with all the Dems 4 years ago, nobody liked her.
Hmm.
She got the lowest approval ratings of everyone that was up there debating.
Yeah.
But you want to bring misogyny into it. Women didn't even like her back then.
In
So
2019, they didn't like her.
right. So again, and as somebody, I've only dealt with racism one time in my life, one time, and it was for 5 minutes. Outside of that, nobody's it's never been in my face. And I would imagine a lot of people have that similar experience. I'm not about to sit here and take the L's and put it on racism every single time something goes wrong. We got to stop that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a very, very good point. And yeah, we're headed towards a different America where we're going to get back to you being promoted on merit and hard work. So
No doubt.
okay. All right, we're going to the next topic. All right, next topic. We're going to talk about Jamal Bryant and I guess his his Sunday worship and what he told his flock about Trump, or he brought politics into his message, which we are away from church and the church and politics is it's starting to be intermingled now. Well, I don't. There's not a lot of black churches where I'm at though, but I mean, there's a couple, but not to the level where Jamal Bryant is at. And Jamal Bryant, he's based out of is it Atlanta? I believe it's Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I think you might be right. I don't know where he is these
Yeah.
days.
But anyway, so Jamal Bryant, he had like a very interesting message. Before I play this clip, any thoughts on Jamal Bryant?
Like I said, how many times you gonna see black men run him off before you realize he ain't a good representation of us? To me, he's Roland Martin 2.0.
Yeah, yeah, he's the worst case of Roland Martin, honestly. So let's play this clip.
And so they offered Jesus bile. Be careful, because people will try to offer you stuff that is not commensurate to your value. They will try to give you what they themselves would never accept. They want you to accept a joke about a watermelon on a black man's head and say that they were just playing, but never any jokes about leprechauns or four-leaf clovers.
So I think that's the watermelon joke. I think that was a joke made by that comedian at the Madison Square Garden.
Oh, you mean the comedian that bombed and no one laughed at his jokes?
Yeah, which I've seen people swear by that guy. I haven't made it to any of his content, but I'm along the lines with comedians. As long as you're making fun of everybody, I don't care. Like, as long as you're making fun of everybody and the
Yeah.
jokes are funny, I'm gonna laugh. But He wasn't laughing, even when he said the whole Puerto Rico thing. Yeah, I was like,
Dude, like maybe 5 people in that whole entire room laughed at that joke. Everybody knew he bombed when he said that. Come on
yeah.
now.
So again, yeah, the whole watermelon thing. Now it's disingenuous the way Jamal has it put up on the projector, because it sounds like Trump said it, but he did not say it.
They
Pander,
want you
pander.
to
Yeah.
accept an attempted insurrection on Capitol Hill on January 6th, but are threatening to pull out the military on those who march for Black Lives Matter. They want you to accept the dividing of families in the largest threat of deportation of immigrants, even if it divides mothers from children. And they said babies in cages will be a glorious day.
Is he talking about Obama, or who's he talking about?
I was just about to say Obama deported, I think, as far as I know, the most immigrants. So like in
The
the
porter in
recent
chief.
era.
Obama, I don't know if Trump can even deport more than Obama. Like this case.
And here's where I get pissed off though. This dude he's a Christian pastor. He's talking about dividing the families when we literally just talked about Michelle Obama urging wives to divide from their husbands when it came to politics and morality.
Mhm.
So why is it cool for your side to do it, but not the other side?
Yeah.
And immigration is an issue that is a very difficult fix. No one has the answer just yet, but the only thing we know for sure is, and I use this example all the time, you and I both work and we both provide for family.
Mhm.
But when we get paid, we make sure our family is taken care of first. And
Yeah.
if there's anything left over after that, then we can talk about what's outside the house. And that's the mentality that the United States needs to have. There are too many US citizens that are suffering. We can't take on everybody else's problem. We
No.
just can't.
No. And when they dropped, see, it's easy from Jamal Bryant's position to give this sob story about illegals. I saw a woman that was traversing the water, like where the border is at, and the fence, and then there's like a waterway. It's like, I don't know, maybe waist deep or something. She's taking her baby over there, and these people, you will call the cops if you see a dog in the car, a hot car. That there's no way that mother should have been taking her kid, trying to get through the border or get to the border, and they didn't let her in because they actually have clamped down on the border. But which there's another big, I forgot what they called them, the big migrant, you know, group pack or whatever. There's a word for it, but that's coming up here, because they know the time's up. But she had some kid trying to get into the country, and I get it. People want to be here, and so for the folks that are upset with the results, you trade spots with those people. Oh wait, you won't. They won't trade spots with any of those people. And unfortunately, if you're illegal, you didn't do the paperwork. I'm sorry, but you got to go back. You got to do it the right way. That's why we have a process for all this. And Trump has said they're going to go after it with the a recently appointed Tom Homan is his name, back to the Border Patrol. Yeah, it's getting back to square one. They're going to try to catch up to Obama, who everyone conveniently forgets on that side that Obama was the deporter in chief and he built those child cages. So it's not like Trump built that stuff. So he's going to try to catch up to Obama. That's how they need to reframe this statement. But is it weird that Jamal, like, have you ever seen, like, of all the church services you've ever been to, have they ever gone this political?
They're not supposed to go political at all. That's the thing. They're not supposed to.
Yeah.
He doesn't pay taxes. That's one of the benefits of a church. They're not supposed to go political and they're supposed to be exempt from taxes. But they've
Yes.
been doing it more and more lately. But here's my observation. If you when you post this video and people watch it back, I want you to count how many men you saw in that church versus how many women you saw in that church. Like seriously, and I'm a Christian, but also my church that I attend is 51% men. It's
Mhm.
the first time I've been in a church that's mostly men because my pastor doesn't pander. He just tells the truth. These churches that I see nowadays, the majority of them just pander to women because they can manipulate them into tithing, into feeling guilty, into coming to them for all of their problems. And you're essentially, you have access to her. You're being intimate with these women. So when every time I hear a story about a pastor playing deacon clap cheeks, I'm not surprised. It's a formula for failure.
Yeah.
You're not going to save anything with just the women present. You need the men and the women present working together. But a lot of these churches fail masculinity, and that's why the men don't go.
Yeah, exactly.
A Christian, I can with confidence say that the church has failed masculinity in a lot of ways. And I'm seeing some course correct in that regard, but overall, there's still work to be done.
Yeah, not enough. So
This dude is trash, man.
They want you to believe that the smuggling of fentanyl has been from the Mexican cartel, but they will not tell you that the majority of those who have been arrested have been white males. They want you to accept that you're going to receive more money when Trump was
Count
not
them in.
responsible for the stimulus check in the first place. They want you to get excited about getting a tax break, but Negro, you don't qualify. That's for folk that's making over $400,000 and you $50,000 or less. Talking about make America great again. When, Negro? When was it great?
I'll tell you when. Look, integration failed us collectively because before we were forced to integrate, we had to fend for ourselves. If you needed a doctor, you go to a black doctor. If you needed a carpenter, there was a black carpenter. We were completely self-sufficient until we integrated. And then that's when we started to become weaker. Integration is cool, don't get me wrong, but it can't be forced. It has to happen naturally. And
mhm.
that's why so many people have issues with DEI because DEI is forced integration. No, we're smart enough where we can compete and eventually get to the point where we will qualify for this stuff. We just got to get rid of all these training wheels and stuff, man. I wish people would
Yeah.
realize that.
Well, it's definitely starting to happen, especially with the new appointments that well the first day policies. It's going to be you want to see some liberals' heads explode. Wait till January 20th when he starts. I don't know if maybe he won't do it that same day, but maybe the next day. They're going to lose their mind with a lot of those policies. He's going to be rolling back, especially with the men being allowed into women's sports, or he'll penalize the schools that allow it because they're getting government funding. But yeah, unfortunately, so I was just trying to count count the men that I was seeing. Just it was like one, and then you kind of had to wait a few frames, two, wait another few frames, three, four. Like it's terrible, and I can confidently say a lot of those women did vote for Kamala Harris, and then Jamal Bryant. I'm blown away the amount of um, I assume he's pro-black all the way through. At least his crowd is all the way black. But the message you're talking about when it comes to immigration, and you're saying like they talk about the fentanyl, and then white men are also getting arrested. Like so what? Like whoever's doing drugs, they all should be arrested. So whether they're black, white, brown, or whatever, they all should be arrested. Like I don't understand why he's trying to dissect this and or at least dilute the actions of these are terrible things that are happening because they've opened the border up. This is beyond ridiculous. And for Jamal Bryant to get up there and use the pulpit to put this message, this slanderous message out there, there's just a lot of work to be done. Again, with the exit poll, it was at again that was at 80% or whatever it was. There was a reduction, but it kind of shows where black people are at, the black community is at, because for every Jamal Bryant, I mean, this is Jamal Bryant. I mean, we haven't got to the people that the people in these other parts of the country, like the New Yorks and Chicago's, they still voted blue. The black people in those Chicago and New York, I mean, they still voted blue. It's like
They did, but the Reds made huge gains. Trump made huge
oh yeah.
gains in Illinois. I also want to call out, look, if you go to a church and it's the male to female ratio is that far skewed and it's off, I would leave. And another way you can judge a church by how effective it is is the singles ministry. How many marriages are being formed through people meeting in the church? Because that's ultimately outside, obviously we want to worship God and we believe Jesus Christ died for our sins. But are you creating families or are you breaking them apart? Because you're openly endorsing a party that we've already established as anti-family. So
Yeah,
how is that Christian?
Kamala, Kamala was at a LGBT rally, just dancing around, carrying it on. It's like, oh, and Biden had the LGBT party, the Pride party or whatever.
And she also told people when they chanted Christ is King during one of her campaigns, she said, "Oh, you need to go to that rally down the street. This isn't that kind of rally."
Yeah, yeah, it's
This is a
definitely,
Christian woman, so-called Christian woman saying this.
well, a Christian woman that grew up in a black church, but
Yeah. This
um,
is a show.
yeah, Jamal Bryant and the rest of the black church are just proving why. Well, let me say this last part, and we'll wrap it up. The black community had also a reckoning as well too, because we have, even though our voting did help Trump, and then also Kamala lost some of the voting. The votes that tipped him over were the white vote and then also the Latino vote. These politicians, they're going to be paying attention to those groups for the most part. So we've definitely put ourselves in a situation where the black vote, it doesn't carry as much weight as it used to anymore, and it's been getting diluted. So if people are just dropping out, that's one thing. Maybe the next candidate can do whatever he needs to do, because you never want to sit on your laurels. Because even though Trump did win an overwhelming vote, you still, I mean, if some of those, like say, if some of those voters that didn't show up or that showed up from 2020 showed up, we could have been having a different conversation there too. So there's still work that needs to be done where he can the next candidate will try to get some of those they were Democrats, now they're Republican, or they vote Republican now. There still needs work to be done though, but there needs to be work on in the community part. That's why I love doing the podcast with UMC, because we can kind of get that message out there and let people know that you got to start be independently thinking. You got to start asking questions, and like, does this make sense? And am I just going along with the crowd? Or I may not like this person, but is in the best interest of my family, is in the best interest for the country? That's what people got to start doing, asking those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I know we're coming to an end, so I'm gonna just say this. If you voted for Kamala and you lost, I'm not taking any pride in you being miserable right now.
I am.
I am actually kind of wondering why you're so attached to a person like that, where you're stressed that they didn't win. If you voted for Trump, especially if you're black, now is the time for you to show everybody what you saw in him. And now is the time for you to start substantiating your arguments that he will perform and that
Yes.
he will make everything better for everybody. But more so than anything, you got to get it out the mud yourself. Nobody is coming to save you. You have to save yourself, period.
Facts, facts. That's a great way to end it. So, all right. Well, everyone, thanks for attending and watching the podcast. And we'll see you next week.
Peace.